What's going on, everybody? It's Barmine from Barmine Tech, and in this video I'm going to show you how to install Fail2Ban on a Linux machine, as well as how to protect your Linux machine with IPTables. So if you have a Linux machine that's open to the public or has any public facing access, Fail2Ban is going to act as a protection method to stop brute force attacks. If somebody's trying to brute force into the machine, it's going to log the attempts from the IP address, and then it's going to ban them for however long you set it for, so they can't continue to brute force into your machine. By doing this, it helps protect your machine from brute force attacks, which is critical if you're using VPSs or any public facing Linux machines. We're also going to protect the Linux box by implementing IPTables. IPTables are software firewall rules that can be set on the Linux machine to help protect, so it can set who can access what and what can do what. So if we want to do inbound rules or outbound rules, we can do that with IPTables, and that's what we're going to do today. So let's get right into it. So to start, we're going to need a public facing Linux machine. Now usually I talk about VPSs off a low-end box, but Linode is another good option if you can find the VPS that works best for you, or you need a test environment for a week, a month, or whatever it might be. Like I said, I always like to use low-end box. It's a really convenient site to use, but lately I've been using Linode a lot more just to test out different projects and stuff. So this is off of low-end box, all their VPS offerings. But Linode also has really good options as well. This isn't an ad for Linode. It's just me talking about a service that I've been using lately and passing on to you. So you might have a moment where you need to test something out, but you don't have a public-facing box. Linode can help you out, and I think usually I run a box for about an hour, and it costs me 3 cents. So it's a really good deal if you're looking for a quick test machine. But that's enough of that. Let's start making up our Linux box. So I like using Ubuntu, so I'm going to use 2204 LTS. I'm going to select my region. I want what's closest to me, which is going to be Newark. I just need a quick shared CPU, so I'm going to do a Nanode 1 gig. So you can see it's $5 monthly for this machine, and pretty good deal, but it's going to work perfect with what we need to do. So I'm going to do that. I'm not going to change the tag, and then I'm just going to set a password. And then we will create the Linode. Now it has all the other options you could set. I don't need those, so we're just going to focus on this stuff. For Fail2Ban, we're actually going to be using this write-up from Alex's blog. We're just going to do this while the Linode spins up. So like I said, Fail2Ban is a program that just prevents against brute force attacks from occurring. Alex's write-up actually has it set up really nicely, so it goes through all the steps and how to set up Discord integrations, which is what we're also going to do, so we can monitor when the Fail2Ban jail starts and if there's anything that's been banned. So installing Fail2Ban is just like any other program on Ubuntu. You just have to, install it, and then configuring it gets a little bit tricky, so we're going to go over that, and then I'm going to show you how to do the Discord settings. So our new VPS is up, and I'm just going to copy the IP address, and I'm going to putty into that. And I'm trying to make it a little bit bigger. Let's get into that. So let's wait for it to respond. And then you can see the Linux machine responds. It just takes a few minutes for it to come online, and then we can get into it. So this is just like having a brand new Linux machine that's public facing, except we're hosting it off Linode. I don't need to worry about anything else. And when I'm all done with it, I get to shut it off, and Linode gets rid of it for me. So super nice. But we're going to start using this. So just like we do with any other Linux machine, we're going to do a sudo apt update. And this might take a minute just because of the distro they use. I don't know which version it is. So I'm going to update this and get the machine upgraded, and then we'll be right back. One of the best steps when it comes to protecting the machine against vulnerabilities or anything else is making sure the machine's up to date. And with Linux, it's something that's super important, especially because it's so simple to run the update and upgrade commands. So I try to run it weekly as new packages are released, but make sure your Linux machines stay up to date, because this is what's also going to help you protect your machine from attacks, whether it's public or private. Especially if it's a public machine, you want to make sure that it is up to date and everything that has the latest packages, so it can help protect against any vulnerabilities or exploits that may have been released in the latest updates. So just make sure that you do the update and upgrade commands weekly, or however often you want to do it, so you have those latest packages. So now that the machine is all up to date, we're ready to start installing Fail2Ban. So you can see he starts off with the write-off saying, to do the update, and that's what we already did. So we're going to do apt install Fail2Ban. You're going to use sudo apt install Fail2Ban. You can actually just pretty much copy all those commands as they go. So it's going to be really helpful. Just click yes, so it installs it. And it's going to do that. We'll just click OK, and then we're all good. So I'll just clear that again, and then we'll do system puddle status Fail2Ban service. And it's not loaded, but it's not running, so it's okay. So yeah, the little picture showing what it should look like. So now we need to configure Fail2Ban. So I'm just going to clear this again. So in this write-up, it suggests actually copying the main configuration file into a different one. So pretty much you have a backup one, which is really a good way to do it. So that's how we're going to do it. So we're just going to pretty much follow these commands as they go. So I'm just going to copy those, paste it in, and right there it just copies the jail.com file into jail.local, and it's using CP. So if you saw my last video about Linux commands, it's a perfect example of how that works. And then from there, we're just going to go into sudo nano, and then it's going to use tac L for lines, and we're going to do etc Fail2Ban jail. Make sure you're on local. Local is our new file. With nano, you can use Control W, and we're going to set the ban time increments. We're going to do Control W ban time increment. And it's going to come up a few different times, so just make sure that you find the right one that matches. So I know you can't really see my actual cursor, but you can see the little green line, and you can see that this is actually where we are going to uncomment this. So I'm just going to hit delete, and we're going to leave it just like that. So we're going to keep going on with this. So after we find the right line, we're going to delete the comment, and then we're going to realign just so it has it in the write-up. Sometimes it's picky about how it wants it, so if it doesn't like this, when I go to run it, we'll come back and I'll adjust it, but I think we should be good. Our next step is we're going to do the ignore IP, so this is going to be pretty much whitelisting your IP, so if you ever run into an issue where you forget your password or whatever it is, you can actually try logging into your machine without getting banned. So we're going to do Control W again, and we're going to do ignore dot, it's just ignore IP. Ignore IP. Over here you can see that we have the ignore IP table, a little paragraph of it, and it has all the different stuff. So we're just going to come over here, and we're going to just realign that again. And in here you would put in any of the IP addresses that you want whitelisted. So if you want to have any public facing addresses, so like if you want to go online and see what is my public IP, you would do that, and then your public IP would get entered in here. So the syntax is just like that, and you would just space it. So let's say your public IP is 54.123.45.32. If that's your public IP address, you would put that in, and you probably have we'll just give it a /24 just so it covers everything. You don't probably have a /24, but it's okay. You only have one IP, so if you really want to do it, you can do like a /32, and that would let that one address in, because you're at your house, you're only going to have one public address. If you do have maybe a business line, or you have a public address with 5 addresses, make sure you just give yourself the right subnet so it hits all 5 addresses. But that's how you would whitelist any of the addresses that you want to be able to access the VPS without being banned if you type the password wrong. So this would be whitelisting your IP addresses. So the next one we're going to work with is SSH. So we're going to do Control W again. We're going to do SSHD, and it's going to bring us over here into the SSH section. And you can see over here it just shows you exactly what we're going to do. So you should find this information, and we're going to add some more stuff to it. So it's going to enable the Discord notifications and set the it to run. So what I'm going to do is just copy this whole thing, and I'm going to come over here and delete all of this because this is no longer needed. So I'm just going to come up here and we'll delete that. I'll hit enter, and I'll just paste that in, and then that's going to be all set. So now, like it says in the write-up, we're all done with the jail.local file, so we're going to Control X and then Y, and that's going to save it. The next thing is to actually set the Discord notifications. So it gives you a whole little paragraph on it, but what we need to do is write the file. So we're just going to copy the command, and we're going to write that. We're going to paste it in, we're going to hit enter, and now we're all set. So now we can come over here, and this will actually be the Discord file. So we're just going to copy that again and paste it in. And there's a couple spots in it that we need to change. So it actually tells you right here, we're going to replace the webhook and the host name. So I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So I just came into the actual Barmine Tech server real quick, and we're just going to, I made a new channel over here, and we're just going to make a quick webhook. So we're just going to go over into the sentence tab, and we're going to hit integrations, and here's where we're going to make our webhook. We're going to create a webhook, and there it goes. So now we can click on it, and we can edit it. We can call it Fail2Ban, and you can name it if you want, your VPS or whatever you're going to call it, and it's going to write to that channel. So we just copy the webhook URL, and we're all set to go back. So now we just need to put the webhook in. So I'm just going to get a little misaligned. So we're just going to come over into the document, and we're going to delete this part that has the webhook URL, and you're going to take out the carets, and we're just going to paste that in, and then we're going to come over here, and we're going to call it what we want to call it. So I'm going to say Linode jail. There, we'll call it that. We'll hit Control X, we'll save that. And then we can start the system and make sure it works. So like I said earlier, that alignment with some of those commands it might not like, so we're going to test that out. So we're going to do sudo system cuddle start Fail2Ban service. It looks like it might have started, so we're going to do status. So we're just going to go up, and we'll get status, and it actually loaded. So here we are, and now everything's running. So now we can go over and check in the Discord server. So if we come over to the Discord server, it sends out a message that the jail started on the VPS. So it actually says Linode jail. It tells us our new hostname for Fail2Ban, and the jail is started. So that means that the brute force prevention is working, that Fail2Ban is actively working. So now if we were to do this, and I would do the stop, you would see that the jail is stopped. So of course I want to turn it back on because I want to keep my machine safe, and start it back up. Now you can do a test on it to make sure it works. I usually don't because I don't want to take the chance of banning myself from my machine. But you can go into that file again, you can know your IP, and you would comment it out so your IP isn't there anymore, and test it out and change the ban time to 30 seconds. You could do that if you want, but it does run the risk of something happen. You do get a Discord notification that hey something's been banned, and you can actually go in there and unban it. So it has integrations to do that. So if you can't SSH back in, you can unban the IP from the Discord notification. But I'm not gonna do that right now just because it's not something I do. I see that it works, and I'll show you what it actually looks like when it starts detecting stuff. So this is actually my Fail2Ban on one of my other boxes that I run, and you can see over here that the jail started, and then it actually banned an IP for 600 hours. That's the time that I set after it failed 5 times to authenticate. So it actually will show you the IP that it was trying to access your machine, and I use IP void at work, so I'm just going to check it out. So after a little bit, IP void will load, and we can actually see that it's a Chinese address. It does some geo tracking, and it detects how many bad hits this has. So it has 7 out of 101, so it's a pretty bad IP address. It'll actually tell you who says it's bad and all this stuff. So IP void's a really good site, and it helps you narrow down if IP addresses are good or bad. So as you see that addresses maybe are hitting your VPS and Fail2Ban is blocking it, you can come over into IP void and you can check it out for yourself and see what the deal is. But that's how we set up Fail2Ban. Super simple setup, and if you follow along, you shouldn't have any issues. And it's going to start working to actively protect your VPS. The next thing we're going to show is how to set up IPTables to protect your VPS as well by setting software firewalls. So let's get right into that. So I know I'll probably get some feedback on using ChatGPT to make my IPTables rules, but I've used it in the past for school projects and other stuff, and it just is the most convenient way to do it. I can sit here and try to get the syntax right for the IPTables rules, but having ChatGPT give it to me in less than a minute is super convenient. So we're just going to do IPTables rule to block all traffic except from one public address. So I'm moving this rule to ideally block all traffic except from one public address, which would be from yourself. So IPTables is going to work that you can make inbound and outbound rules, and ChatGPT is going to give me all the rules. So it's going to start off by telling us to flush all the rules that are already in place, which is a good start. We're going to make sure there's nothing already interfering. We're going to allow traffic from the specific address we want to permit. We see it's pretty straightforward. It gives us the commands, and then we want to allow established connections and related traffic to continue. We could add these, and then we could save the IPTable rules by actually saving them to the machine. So I'm going to just follow along, and we'll see sudo IPTables tag F. So there's nothing in there, so we're just going to start off with going through the rules. So I'm just going to do dummy IP addresses so you guys don't know my public IP address. So you can actually see if there's any IPTables rules by doing IP tag L, and it would show you the current rules in place. There's nothing there, so I don't need to worry. So we're going to clear that, and we're going to start doing the command. So we're just going to copy that, and we're going to edit the IP address. So I'm just going to do 52.123.45.85. This isn't my public address, it's just a random address I came up with. And then we're going to do change it for the outbound output, and we're going to change that to D, and then we're all set. We're going to run that. And then if we want the established connections to continue to run, we could do that. So we could just copy these, run that, and we'll copy that one, we'll run that, and then we're going to set it so it runs it consistently. So we're just going to do that real quick. Hit yes, 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 and then we'll hit that. I'll clear this so everybody can see. Paste that. Now it's going to start the rules. We're going to do net filter, and we'll do that. So now if I do IPTables tag L, you can see I actually have rules in here, and it's going to protect it so only this address can get in, and it's going to block any traffic that's not from this public address. So you would put in your public address for your house or work or whatever you're going to do, so you could always access your machine, and we want to block it from other traffic. So we really want to stop it from ping sweeps or scanners. So if somebody is doing a massive scan on a subnet and they stumble across your VPS, now they can't try to scan it on other stuff. It's just going to actively work to block all the traffic. So it could actually work to probably make another rule of that. So I asked IPTables to make me IPTables rule to protect against scans. And if you're not familiar, a scan is just network scan. Usually it's just a ping sweep of a subnet to make sure to see what's live and what's not. And then from there they usually try doing a pen test or whatever to exploit or to get in. So it actually gave me more rules you can do, and just pretty much is limiting the different activity. So it's going to actually work to protect against the scan. It's going to put a time limit in. I'm not going to put these rules in because these are a little bit extra. I'm content with my rules that I set to only allow my traffic in and block everything else out. But if you wanted to mess with ChatGPT and get a few more in, you can do it, and you can set it the way you want. One last thing I'm going to say is that we should change the port number for SSH, so we're going to do that right now. So we're going to just change the IP port, the SSH port really quick. We're going to do sudo nano/sshd config, and we're going to come down here. We're going to uncomment this one, and we're going to change it to 2211. You can change it to whatever port you want. Just make sure you remember the port, and from there it'll set it so you can only SSH in over that port. So once you change it, it's going to be that. If you have, a VPS or anything like that, you're having an issue SSH in, there's usually a VNC connection that you could establish, and then you could fix the SSH issue. But now it's going to be using port 2211, and then we're going to do sudo system cuddle restart SSHD. And now that's going to do, it's going to restart it, so now it'll take effect of the new port. And we'll just make sure it's running. I typed it wrong. And SSH is running now. It's going to be using that new port. So if I was to SSH in over that new port, it would work. So here I am in PuTTY. I'm going to SSH in again. I'm going to do 2211. And you can see over here it's coming up over the new port. So I can just log in again. And here we are back in our VPS, and then everything will be working. I didn't restart anything. So here we are, still having our VPS up and protected. So I know I covered a lot of topics in this video, but protecting your Linux machines, especially when they're public facing, is super important, and that's why having Fail2Ban and firewall rules in place and changing your port number is crucial if you're going to have a public facing VPS or server or anything like that. I know some people in the Discord server have been talking about VPSs. I have a few of myself. It's just important to protect yourself, especially if you're going to be storing data on them or anything else that you don't want somebody else to be able to access. We don't want any people on our computers anyway. We just want to be on our own computers, so why not protect them? It's super simple. You can set up Fail2Ban in about 10 minutes, IPTables in about another 5. We use ChatGPT, make it even faster. So why not protect the machine? It's super important, so let's just get it done. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, make sure to like it and drop a comment. If you have any questions, just drop a comment below or hit me up in the Discord server, and we'll help get your issues resolved, or anybody else might be able to help you as well. I do have the Discord server, so I'm going to put a link for that below. Make sure you join up. We're starting to grow our community. We're starting to chat more, so it's good to see everybody's there. Let's keep growing the community and working on projects together. I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.